we shall look at a couple of insights into asymptotic notation. In the process, we shall bring out loose lower bounds and loose upper bounds and so on. So please note, when we discussed something like this, 3n plus 5 is order of n. We also mentioned that it is order of n square, and it is order of n cube and so on. Let's focus on this. So 3n plus 5 is order of n square. So by definition, 3n plus 5 is less than or equal to some constant times n square. It says there exists c greater than 0 and there exists n naught greater than 0, such that for all n greater than or equal to n naught, this inequality is true. The interesting part over here, the order of growth of this is linear in nature. Order of growth of this one is quadratic in nature. Now, because of this quadratic, you can observe the following. So 3n plus 5, you can write it as c times n times n. So this one n will actually take care of the growth of this, and you have an additional n which is a variable, which is very important part is it's variable. Now, whereas this one is fixed, it's a constant. This additional term is trying to do this magic. What is that? I'm saying for all c greater than 0, there exists n naught greater than 0, such that for all n greater than or equal to n naught, 3n plus 5 is less than or equal to c times n square. Please note, the there exists quantifier is changed to for all. I'm saying you see that this inequality is true for all positive constants. That's the interesting part. So you choose any c greater than 0, you see that 3n plus 5 is less than or equal to constant times n square. So now c could be really small. For example, you take 3n plus 5 is equal to say 0.01 times n square. Is this true? Answer is yes. In this case, c is 0.1, and you can verify. Suppose you take n naught to be say 1000. Starting from this, it is true. You choose any c, and as long as it is positive, you can always find one n naught. First, you should fix c, and according to the c that you choose, you can choose an appropriate n naught such that the inequality is true. And so 3n plus 5 is upper bounded by 0.01 times n square. And we already know that 3n plus 5 is say 50 times n square, and 3n plus 5 is say 0.0001 times n square. If this is the case, you choose a large n naught, maybe something like say 10 power 6. Starting from this n naught, you see that this inequality is true. So that's the interesting part of these notations, which means 3n plus 5 is equal to order of n. This works for some c greater than 0. 3n plus 5 is equal to order of n power, this is 1, 1.1, 3n plus 5 is equal to order of n power 1 plus epsilon, where epsilon is strictly greater than 0, and all this works for any positive constant. Fine. Now, is there a notation that is capturing all of this? Answer is yes. That brings little o. So f of n is little o of g of n if and only if for all c greater than 0 there exists n naught greater than 0, and for all n greater than or equal to n naught, f of n is less than or equal to or strictly less than, anything is fine, constant times g of n. Okay. In all cases it will be strictly less, so whether you write strictly less or less than or equal to, it doesn't matter. Okay. You will see that you choose any c and this will happen. And the most interesting part is 3n plus 5 is not little o of n. Why? If you say it is little o of n, it must be true for every c, but that's not the case. For say c is equal to 0.001 and 3n plus 5 is not upper bounded by 0.001 times n. Correct? So that shows that 3n plus 5 is not little o of n, whereas 3n plus 5 is little o of n power 1.1, it is little o of n square, it is little o of n power 1 plus epsilon, where epsilon is greater than 0. So you see that starting from here, one can capture loose upper bounds using little o notation. So little o notation is trying to represent loose upper bounds. So 3n plus 5 is order of n power 1.1, also little o of n power 1.1. And so 3n plus 5 is little o of n square, 3n plus 5 is little o of n power 1 plus epsilon, and so on. So this captures all upper bounds, in that this one is tight, and starting from all you get to see loose upper bounds. So if it is something in little o, which means it is also in big O, but converse is false. For example, 3n plus 5 is order of n, but 3n plus 5 is not little o of n. Whereas 3n plus 5 is little o of something implies that it is big O of something. It's a loose upper bound, which means it's also an upper bound. So it's quite elegant stuff. You see that when you start looking at loose upper bounds, because of this additional factor which is involving n, and the other c is just a constant, however small c is, you can always compensate with the additional function involving n. Of course, one has to choose appropriate n naught. And formally when you write, you see that f of n is little o of g of n if and only if for all positive constant there exists a positive n naught such that the inequality is true. One can also write f of n is strictly less than c times g of n. Both are equivalent. Now for 3n plus 5 you see that it is not little o of n, whereas 3n plus 5 is little o of n power 1.1 n square and so on. Similarly it is little o of 2 power n and all that. So it is little o of 2 power n and so on. So very similar to this, one can also talk about loose lower bounds, and then we shall revisit theta again to bring out other interesting insights. Let's look at one more case study. Say n square plus 6n plus 5. We know that this one is big O of n square and this one is big O of n power 2 plus epsilon, where epsilon is greater than or equal to 0, and it is also big O of c power n, where c is strictly greater than 1. Now things like order of n power 2.1 and order of n cube and so on. So all of them you have an additional factor apart from n square, which is compensating the leading term. You have n power 0.1, n power 1 and so on. So we see that n square plus 6n plus 5 is less than or equal to or strictly less than c times n power 2.1, and this is true for any c greater than 0, and there exists n naught greater than 0, and for all n greater than or equal to n naught, this inequality is true. So we can also write n square plus 6n plus 5 is strictly less than c times 2 power this. Okay, so some textbooks follow this, some textbooks follow this, but both are correct. In fact, it will be strictly less. When it is strictly less, I can also write 6 is strictly less than 7, 6 is less than or equal to 7. So one can also write this. Okay, it's not other way. We are not saying this implies this. So it is always the case that it is strictly less than this. One can also write less than or equal to. Fine. So now very similar to what we did before, if c is really small, suppose you say it is 0.1 times n power 2.1, then you increase n, meaning you choose n naught to be say 10 power 6. Maybe for smaller values it may work. I am just giving you one n naught so that you can understand this inequality. For every c that you come up with, one can always find one n naught. And if you start decreasing the value of c, you start increasing the value of n naught, so that the inequality matches. So the essence is this additional term n power 0.1 will help you because it is a variable in n. As you increase n naught, that will be reflected over here. So the contribution from this, however small this c is, that will be compensated by this additional factor n power 0.1. This n square and n square is compensated. This additional factor 0.1, n power 0.1 shall compensate the effect of the small c. So with this one can conclude n square plus 6n plus 5 is little o of n power 2 plus epsilon, where epsilon is strictly greater than 0. It is little o of 2 power n. It is little o of something bigger than that, something like say n factorial, and it is little o of something bigger than that, which is n power n. Okay.